And so she tapes me, and the ref comes and he says, "Are you still able to play?" And I'm like, "Yes," because in my mind, I knew if I exit this field, I'm not seeing the game ever again because we have two great goalkeepers on the bench with Major League Soccer experience. I'm not going to sniff it anymore.
Hello, welcome back to Forever a Lion, here with another episode talking with an Orlando City person in and around a club. And this is someone who has been here from the very beginning, not only in Orlando, but all the way back to the Austin days. So I want you all to settle in, grab a beverage, and let's talk Orlando City. Today's guest is Miguel Gallardo. Welcome to the show.
Hey,
Miguel.
dude, what's going on, man? Really happy to be here. Really happy to catch up. Really, really exciting stuff. I've been listening to you, having some really good guests there, and I was like, "Where's my call? Where's the email? Do you know what I mean? Is it in the
Man,
fax? I said, what's going
you're
on here?"
high
So
on the list, bro,
you're so
but
really,
you're
really pleased
busy.
to.
You're a busy guy, you know?
Nah, dude, but we're family, dude. Orlando City is my home. Orlando City is, a very, very important part of my life. Even going back to the Austin days, right? Like you mentioned. But look, I spent more years of my life here in Orlando now than I did in Texas. So this is my home. And when somebody talks about home, they don't just talk about the physical address, but the people. And obviously, you're somebody that has been there since the beginning. Your mom, your dad, I mean, everyone, right? So for me to be able to connect with you and your audience, it's awesome. I'm really looking forward to catching up.
Well, my first question is always, who are you and what is your relationship to Orlando City? I feel like most people know who you are because you're still a face around. Of course, you're doing Apple TV. But for anybody who doesn't know the history of you and how you are connected to the club, take us way back to how that started.
You know what's funny, John, is that the amount of times that I run into people and the dad is like, "Yo, Miguel, what's going on?" And then they have like their 7-year-old kid or 9-year-old kid, and then they look at me, he's like, "Bro, do you know who he is?" And the kid is like, "Nope." And I realize that time has gone by, and now there's a new generation of Orlando City fans that are clueless about what happened in the beginning of the history of the team. But I'm always the ones like, dude, he's not gonna remember. It's okay. I appreciate that you remember me, but he's not going to remember. He's going to remember Kaká. He's gonna remember Nani. He's gonna remember all these players that came in the Major League Soccer era. But I appreciate the fact that some of these guys feel nostalgia talking about Orlando City and when they run into guys that really started the whole thing. So to make it brief for your new audience, my name is Miguel Gallardo. I was the first signed player for Orlando City as a goalkeeper. I was the team captain for about 3 to 4 years. And then how can I say, willingly and deservedly handed the captain armband to Rob Valentino, who was more of I would say he was more fit to be the captain when it comes to making guys do things that they weren't very, very good at doing. I would argue that I was more of a symbolic captain. I was more of a motivational captain. Maybe modesty aside, I would say that I represented the club on and off the field when it comes to, hey, we want to be active in the community. We want to, portray the right message with the people around Orlando. We were a new brand, and we wanted to establish ourselves as a team that was not only going to be a bunch of players that were going to kick the ball on the green field, but also people that wanted to impact the community in a positive way. Yeah, I was a captain for 3 out of the 4 years I was here as a player. We won multiple championships. I got a couple of individual awards that would never happen without my team. And I retired 2017 when my daughter was born. By that time, I was playing for the Jacksonville Armada. And I say that because due to the success of our time with Orlando City, I had multiple offers to go to different teams, a couple of Major League Soccer teams. But I went to Jacksonville Armada because I had such a positive experience being the first signed player with Orlando City that they offered me the opportunity to be the first time player for Jacksonville Armada, and I wanted to be part of their history as well, just like I was for Orlando City. And The other positive thing about going to Jacksonville was the fact that I was going to be close to my now wife and my kids. So that was something that inspired me to go to Jacksonville. I had a great time there. We played against Orlando City a couple of times. We beat Orlando City one time. I got scored by Kaká. Don't worry about it. And it was beautiful, and I almost celebrated it. But the people welcomed me in that particular game. They made the trip all the way to Jacksonville, and when I walked out of the stadium to the pitch, it was a beautiful, beautiful moment for me because they showed me love, and you know, I wanted them to know that I loved them back. And yeah, it was. I had a couple of great years there, and then I came back to Orlando when my daughter was born, and I had the opportunity to start in the broadcast business with Orlando City. I started as a sideline reporter, signed an analyst, and I quickly became a studio analyst, and then pretty soon after became a match analyst. And great years of my life, 2 or 3 years, you know, being in the booth with Evan Weston, Jeff Ratcliffe for a year as well. That was a really good time. And then the whole Apple TV movement came with all the rights exclusively going to the streaming platform. And my future was uncertain because the whole dynamic was going to change. And so Apple TV came and offered me a deal, and it made sense for my family. At the same time, I was goalkeeper coach for Orlando Pride, and I'm very grateful for them because I had the opportunity to be part of the coaching staff. I had a great experience, beautiful, beautiful people, amazing environment. Seb Hines is doing a terrific job. Giles Barnes, former Orlando City player as well, doing a terrific job. I don't need to say it, the numbers show, but from coming from the inside, they're doing a terrific job just creating a nice culture. But at that particular moment, it made more sense for me and my family to go the Apple TV route. And 3 years later, I've really enjoyed my time. But ultimately, I'm always connected to Orlando City. I do the Orlando Soccer Insider show on a weekly basis with Evan Weston. Sometimes we do with guest appearances, but that's my way to stay connected with the team. And also some of my time doing, as an ambassador, doing free soccer clinics for kids in areas that are not as privileged as others.
Wow. I mean, you went from first player to like 4 years of USL, right?
Bro,
And then after that, punditry, coach, like there's so many roles that you've had in and
yeah,
around the club. And I always think it's great whenever I watch, La Previa, I see you guys out there and I'm like, Miguel's out there representing Orlando City in the wider hemisphere of MLS. And that I think a lot of people are proud to say that you're not only our first player, but really one of our most, favorable memory, kind of players. You are up there, in my opinion, buddy. I would put you up out there on that Legends Terrace if it was
that's my
me,
guy right there.
because before people chanted, Galese and bowed
Yeah,
down, I
yeah.
remember when they used to chant Gallardo and they used to bow up and down. So,
Let me tell you something, John. I think
yeah,
that there's been a lot of players, including goalkeepers, that have come into Orlando City and done a terrific job. But I don't know. I don't know that any. Obviously, they'd have to say this themselves in a genuine way. Not many players love Orlando City like I do. Like I said, they're better than me. You know, they were more talented than me. But I would argue that very few people love Orlando City the way I do, because of my experience here, but also because I came here not just to play, but to establish myself as an adult. And I started a life here. I met my wife here. My daughter was born here. Orlando Health holds a very dear place in my heart because of injuries, because my daughter was born there, because they looked after people that I know and love. And so everything that Orlando City represents, I identify with. And like I said, for me, it's an honor that people remember me the way you do. But I want to take advantage of this space to say that I genuinely love Orlando City, and I always want the best for Orlando City, and I hope to be here for a long time.
yeah, I mean, a lot of those players I feel like were the real heart of the club in that USL era, and many of them kind of still, like you, carry those memories and all those family things that happened to them in and around the club. And what I want to do though is take you back to your first ever memory of Orlando City, and this was probably even maybe an interaction with Adrian back in Austin
Yeah.
before you even came to Orlando, because you did make that move. So what is that kind of, how did you ever hear about Orlando, or I guess in your case Austin?
Yeah. So it was interesting. I don't think I've shared this many places, but I lived in Austin, and for many years I was an illegal immigrant. I had opportunities to go play in Mexico, but because of my status, I couldn't travel to Mexico because I was afraid that if things didn't go right, I couldn't come back to the U.S. where my family was. And my mom was going through a sickness condition that required me to be helpful to my family. So that's not a risk that I could take. And so it wasn't until probably 22, 23 that I got my green card. And then I decided to go try my luck in Mexico. And I reached out to one of the clubs that had reached out to me 5 years before that when I was a 17-year-old goalkeeper in Austin, Texas. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, my name is Miguel Gallardo. You invited me to come to Tigres to play for the youth team or the academy team, and so I'm reaching out to see if there's still an opportunity. Mind you, I was already like 20, 21, 22. I forgot how old I was, and they're like, no, we don't remember you, but if you want to come down on your own dime, you can. I had nothing to lose. So I went down there. I had a trial. They really liked me. I remember the goalkeeper coach looked at me and said, I look at you and it makes me sad. And I said, why? Do I suck that bad? And he said, no, because you have conditions that if you had been in the academy system at 16, 17 years old, we could be singing a different song with your situation. And so obviously I didn't get upset about it. That's life, that it is what it is. But they still invited me to be part of the Primera A team, which is kind of like the championship team. And I was part of that I was part of the team for a year in Tigres, and I went to another city, which is called Los Mochis de Sinaloa, and I was part of a professional environment, and it was awesome. It was great. I left everything behind in Austin. I had sorted out the things that I needed to sort out. My mom had already passed away, so I had the pain, but not the necessity, so to speak. And then, we all came back to preseason in Monterrey. I was practicing with the first team, and then my knee, typical, right? My knee started really bothering me, and I could train, I could practice, but then the moment practice finished, my knee would just get swollen and I just couldn't practice. And so there's one day where I went to talk to the general manager and say, hey, my knee really hurts. And he said, well, the doctor's not here. Wait a couple days. He's going to come and then he'll check you out. And then, we'll figure out what we got to do. I said, great. So I would just go to practice. And then the next day I'm sitting down, not practicing. And the head coach, he says, Gallardo, hop and go. And I said, well, the GM said not to do it because, you know, he's like, can you play? And I was like, yeah, well, hop on. So I hopped on. They didn't like that very much. So then he said to me, hey, we gave you an instruction. You didn't follow it. We're going to move you to a different team. And so they wanted to send me to Argentina to affiliate. And also they wanted to, or send me to El Paso to another affiliate that they had. And I was like, look, how about we just rescind my contract? I want to go back home. I'll sort out my situation back home and we call it, a day. And so they accepted. I went back to Texas and it so happened that Austin Aztecs had just started. They had a trial. And so I was like, okay, I have nothing to lose. It was like 4 or 5 months after I went, my leg felt fine and I went to a trial. Most of my friends that played in Austin and men's leagues that were very good, they were all there. One of my best friends megged me. That was my first interaction with Austin Aztecs. And the very first day, Bobby Murphy, I don't know if you remember him. Bobby Murphy was the assistant coach. He came to me, he's like, hey, we'd like to sign you. I was like, dude, I just got megged. I haven't touched your ball. He's like, no, but we know who you are, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, yes. So I was the first time player for Austin Aztecs as well. So I signed for Austin Aztecs. And it was a great experience. We had a terrific year in PDL before we made it into, was it the NASL? I think it was called something different. No, there was a USSF
It was
one.
USL Pro.
No, but before that, there was a
Oh,
fight between Major League Soccer
yes,
and the
NASL.
second division NASL. So while the fight was going on, the name for the second division was USSF one,
Yes.
which is technically first division, but because MLS wasn't sanctioned, something like that. But that's what it was called. But it was an awesome league, dude. It was the Puerto Rico Islanders, it was Portland Timbers, it was Montreal Impact back then, it was the Vancouver Whitecaps, it was Minnesota United, it was the Carolina Railhawks. I mean, there was some really good teams. Seattle Sounders had just moved to Major League Soccer, so we missed them in that division, but it was an awesome league and we had a great time. And so I remember my debut professionally with or with Austin Aztecs was against a game against Minnesota. And right before the season started, they had brought two Major League Soccer level goalkeepers. And one was Nick Noble, who eventually went to Chicago Fire and played some MLS games. And then they brought Sam Reynolds, lovely guys, awesome guys. Sam Reynolds was playing for Chivas USA before he came to us. And I thought to myself, they're going to bench me, right? I know I have qualities, but this guy's coming from an MLS team. But what I did know is that I had something that, all due respect to them, they didn't have. And I would argue it was my trademark during my career. And I'll share something with you that Adrian said to me years later. But I was able to play with my feet, probably better than most goalkeepers, in the league. And probably in Major League Soccer right now, there's a lot of goalkeepers that lack that ability. And that's a controversial topic because people say, no, we want goalkeepers to make saves. And yes, of course, but teams now are looking for goalkeepers that can play with their feet. And so Adrian gave me the opportunity to start the game. And literally 10 minutes in the game, there's a low cross. I come out to try to collect the ball, and my center back slides towards me, and we collide. And his foot scratched my entire face. And I remember feeling blood gushing down my ear. And the medical team comes to me, and I say, "Hey, am I okay?" And her name was Sheila. Sheila was our doctor. Sheila is now the physical trainer for Seattle Sounders, by the way. She says, "No, you're not okay." And I said, "Can I continue to play?" She said, "Half of your ear is falling off." And I said, tape me before the ref comes. And so she tapes me, and the ref comes and he says, "Are you still able to play?" And I'm like, "Yes," because in my mind, I knew if I exit this field, I'm not seeing the game ever again because we have two great goalkeepers on the bench with Major League Soccer experience. I'm not going to sniff it anymore. So I ended up playing like that with a black eye, with half of my ear cut off, and I ended up playing a pretty good match. We ended up tying the game 1-1, and I was rushed to the hospital to get 14 stitches in my ear. And that's probably one of the best decisions I ever made to continue to play because then I put some pretty nice performances and I was always the starter. Listen, I played for about 10 years, and all 10 years of my career, I was a starter. I was never a backup. I was a backup for about 3 games with Orlando City towards the end of 2014, which kind of was a weird situation. We don't need to get into that, but I have some, resentment there. And then I was a backup with Jacksonville Armada for 7 games, and it was the happiest 7 games of my life because of my career, because I suffered from anxiety so much. And because I wasn't starting, I just enjoyed those 7 games. I was a goalkeeper coach. I was helping out my teammate, and I wanted him to succeed. He's still playing in USL Championship, by the way. But it was probably one of the best decisions I made when it comes to playing, because I know that if I had been taken off the field, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today.
I mean, I remember those first few games way back in House Park, and just you talking about you going to hospital. I'm thinking, well, the locker rooms there were basically just like the high
Mobile
school
homes.
locker room across the street. Like there wasn't, you guys were like
Yeah.
changing in the parking lot. I had one memory of that happening
Yeah.
one time. So, facility wise, yeah, it's amazing we kind of even have a trainer really at that point.
Yeah.
And Sheila, like you said, she was
It
great.
was amazing.
And there were so many people around the club at that time that did such a good job.
Yeah.
So I want you to think for a minute about what is your favorite off-field memory of Orlando City. So this could be anything that isn't
Yeah.
when you are actually playing the game.
Man, that is such a good one, man. It's just,
I know I could think of some of the journeys we used to have with Adrian and all the other
yes.
players in the minibuses. I have some
There,
pretty fond memories of those.
some of my favorite memories I cannot say publicly.
Yeah,
I will
right.
start with
Keep it.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was some fun times had with Adrian and the teams, going out and being involved in activities for team building, of course.
Yeah.
And they were very successful for that,
Yeah,
I
yeah. Well,
might
you got to
say.
celebrate all the wins that you guys had,
That's
obviously.
correct. That's correct. Yeah, listen, we had a great time. Off the field memories, I'm trying to think of something. Well, there was so the Orlando City Foundation, K Rawlins running the foundation. they had this event called Ladies in the City, which was a fundraiser for ladies in the Orlando area to get to know the players, but more importantly, to learn about the game, which obviously soccer is still a new game for many people, and back then even more. And so there was this fundraiser where the Orlando City players would show up. We would do skits. We would separate different phases of the game or rules of the game where we would have to explain the rules. And those were some really cool moments. They were funny. It's funny because I remember hosting the event, and I guess it was a warm up for what my life would become after, not even realizing that that's that's what I was destined to do. I don't know if destined to do is the right word, but that's what I was going to do later on in my life. But those were some fun memories. The details, some of them cannot be spoken, but they was definitely some interesting moments, and some of my teammates just showed their core. They showed who they are in those particular events, and it was fun.
The Winter Park moms are a little bit too wild. Let's just put it that way, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that that event had to get shut down
that's right.
because
Yeah, the Players Association said no
yeah,
more.
just too much excitement happening here. Alrighty, this is the opposite. So, what is your favorite on-field memory? So, this is any game or any time you guys lifted one of the
Wow.
many trophies in your USL era with Orlando City. What do you have? Can you remember
Wow, dude,
one particular moment that was like, wow?
that's so tough.
You could have a few if you got like
Yeah,
honorable
yeah.
mentions.
I mean, I
Yeah.
have a few. I have a few. One of them is one that comes to my mind is we played a friendly game against Sao Paulo at Disney Wide World of Sports, and in that roster was going to be Pato, was one of the players, Gonzo, other great players. But the goalkeeper was going to be Rogero Ceni, who is my favorite goalkeeper of all times. The reason why is because he was sensational with the ball at his feet, and he's still the highest goal scorer as a goalkeeper. And so we were gonna play against them, and I just remember telling my teammates, like, dude, please don't foul outside the box. I don't want to be humiliated by Rogero. Do I want to gamble in him taking a shot and me not saving it and being amazing? I don't want to gamble on that. I believe more in him than in myself. And we ended up having a really great game. And I made a couple of really nice saves. And I remember Pato came in towards the end of the game and he had a sitter inside the six, and I made the save. And so it was great. That's probably one of my favorite memories. We exchanged jerseys. Rogeto's exchange changes with jerseys with me, and it was great. And I remember in the press conference, somebody asked Adrian Keith, "It's like, hey, Miguel had a great game, had a really nice save. He was key for the tie." And Adrian, just very cold as he is, he said, "Well, that's his job. That's what he gets paid to do," and moved on. This is my daughter, by the way. But yeah, it was that was probably one of them. And listen, the championship in 2011, yes, you remember, I was the goalkeeper of the year. I mean, I was going into the game hype, and first half we're tied 0-0. We're controlling the game, and then their player breaks off and it's a 1v1 situation. I'm playing really high because that's what I was supposed to do with our team, because we played so high and pressed so high that was part of my way to be in addition to my team. I was always connected to my back line, and the amount of times I came and cleared a ball before the forward got it, I mean, it's multiple times. That was part of our game model. And in that particular game, my timing was off, but I also realized that if I don't take the guy down, we're going to be down 1-0 in a game that we haven't scored, and there's 30 games, 30, 15, 20 minutes left in the game. And so when he went past me, I was like, I'm taking him down. So I took him down and I got a red card. And Sean Kelly came in, and obviously Shawnee, terrific goalkeeper, terrific person, but he hadn't had many games. And so he gets in the game. We get scored on a couple of times of crosses, and his timing was off because he didn't really get a lot of games. And timing is everything when it comes to corner kicks and stuff like that. And I remember who scored the goals, and it went to overtime, and it went. I think Lawrence scores the goal. And then go to penalty kicks, and then Shawnee was just like a hero. He saves a couple of them. We lift the trophy. I came out like, because I was watching from the dugout, like, hey, what's going on? And so I was able to enjoy the game, but and we lifted the trophy. I grabbed the trophy. Rob gives me the trophy. Adrian gives me the trophy. I lift the trophy, and it was an awesome moment for me. And because I was happy that I made a life changing decision moving to Orlando, and there were still a lot of questions and things that sometimes I still had in the back of my mind, right? Like, did I make the right decision? I moved away from my family to come with the team. And that was kind of like, right, I needed this to feel like I made the right decision, you know? And I also, my mom had passed away and I didn't have any tattoos. And I remember saying to myself, I wanted to get a tattoo so bad. But, when I see guys back in the day, when you see guys full of tattoos or white Nike vapors, you felt like, dude, if you're going to have all those tattoos, if you're going to wear those shoes, you have to back it up. You can't not be a good player. You can't not have results. You can't not have championships. That was my perception back then. Maybe I was ignorant, but that was my perception back then. And so I told myself that in order to get a tattoo, I needed to win something. And so when we won that championship, it was also like, hey, my green light to get a tattoo. And then I got my first tattoo because of that championship. But it was more than the tattoo. It was about, can you come over here? Okay, don't go crossing. Sorry, fans. More than the
She's
tattoo
fine.
was about just understanding and realizing that I made the right decision. And I loved all my teammates, and it was just an awesome moment.
You're still playing goalkeeper at home, you gotta
Dude, I'm
cover
telling you,
cover
well, yeah, she was born
bases.
here in Orlando. You know what I mean? Like,
She wants to be in the show.
if I came out in that game where I got my head cut off, she wouldn't be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you talked about that final because it was
Yeah,
so epic. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, and then an incredible memory for everybody. And you had so many of those
yeah,
over your time, and you played with so many great guys.
yeah.
Can I get you to pick some of your favorites or
Sure.
a few?
Yeah, dude, no doubt. I mean, that's an easy one for me, honestly. Rob Valentino for me was just a great person, man. Not many guys are as good as him. And he took it really hard when the team transitioned to Major League Soccer. And listen, you can go back and compare. Could the team have done better with some of the guys transferred into Major League Soccer? We will never know. If you ask my opinion, I would say yes. I would say that we had 3 or 4 guys that could have played on that team, and been at least guys that could establish a culture, and been great role players. And I think Rob Valentino was one of them. And yes, I know Kaká came in and was immediately the captain, but I don't think that many players could have been as good as a captain as Rob Valentino, because more than being a great soccer player, more than being somebody who was very hard to beat in air duels, by the way, that's something that he was very underrated at. He was just somebody who represented the club better than most. And he was somebody that always stood for the right things. He was somebody who called you out when you needed to be called out. He was somebody who gave you confidence when you did something good. And not many people in life are like Rob Valentino, I would say. So he obviously holds a very special place in my heart. Luke Bowden was somebody who I shared a lot of great memories with. I still don't think that we've had many players on the team that had a better left foot than he did. I think Joao Moutinho probably has a case, but Bots I think has, you know, one of the most educated left foot that I've ever seen here in Orlando City history, and also a great guy, just great work ethic like very few. Who else? Jordani Alvarez for me was also someone who's just awesome, right? Just a dude that was just careless, but at the same time cared so much. There's a story with him where we were playing U.S. Open Cup and we were going to play against Antigua in their island, and we're gonna play back-to-back matches. We're gonna play Friday and Sunday, but we had played Open Cup the week before that during the week, so we had played a game on Tuesday, travel to the island on to play Friday, played a game on Sunday, fly back to Dallas to play on Tuesday against FC Dallas in the round of 16, I think, of the U.S. Open Cup. We were exhausted. We were absolutely dead. And we somehow managed to take them to overtime. How we took them to overtime, we were losing 1-0, corner kick for us in the dying moments of the game. The ball, corner kick, the ball pops out, and Jordani, first time, volleys it, crossbar, and in. Banger. Take it to overtime. We're absolutely dead. We ended up losing. They scored a goal, and we ended up losing. And at the end of the game, they interviewed Gio and they asked him, it's like, what was going through your mind when you scored that goal? And Gio said, shit, another 30 minutes. That was what he said, dude. So listen, he was always somebody who I still, I'm still around. I run a youth soccer club here in Orlando. It's called South Orlando, and he's a big part of it. He still coaches for us, and he's awesome. And then I mean, who else? Who else? I mean, there's these many guys. Rodrigo Lopez. Rodrigo Lopez was here just for a
Roro.
little bit. He never settled well within the team, but I think he was probably one of the most talented players that has ever come to Orlando City, at least back then, maybe in the USL era. He never settled well with the team. He wasn't able to make a story for himself here like the way he did in Sacramento, who he's a legend there, right? He's probably the most successful player that they've ever had. And the list goes on. There was many players that we should shared some awesome moments with that I'm still really cool with. Kieran Bernard, of course. I mean, my center back, right? Love Nandi. Great stories. And yeah, I mean, there was some awesome players that I made some great memories with, and I really look up to.
Some great guys there. Hopefully, most of them are going to come on at some point and do an episode.
Yeah,
If not,
definitely.
I got some of them lined up already.
That's
This is a little different. This is who is your favorite Orlando City person? So this is not a player, but this could be
yeah,
a coach or a staff member or
yeah.
a fan or whoever around the club.
Yeah, you gotta make it harder. That's an easy one. That's K. Rawlins, bro. You
Everyone
kidding me?
chooses K for this segment. I should
Yeah,
just
yeah,
name
yeah.
this the now talk about K section.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kay, I mean, Kay's awesome, dude. Kay's just such a good person, and she cares for the club, and no one represents Orlando City and Orlando Pride the way she does, and she's always doing whatever she can to improve just how everyone is treated within the organization, to get the name out there, standing up for the right things. She's awesome, and I've known Kay for, since 2008. I consider her part of my family, honestly. She's been somebody who's been there through all the good times and the bad times. And I just seen her at the game versus Necaxa. What a game, by the way. And I just seen her there, and it was always a good conversation. Always good seeing her.
I love that. I knew you were gonna choose K. I was like, there's no way Miguel choose anybody. Favorite player, her episode. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
Miguel. And I'm like,
Oh God. All right,
I
Kay, come on.
know. Oh, she had to. Alrighty. This was a little different. What is your sort of game day ritual? Maybe you had one when you
Yeah.
were a player. And now I know you're a pundit most of the time, but you get to come to some Orlando City games for fun. So what does
Yeah.
that look like now? And what do you like to do on game days?
So game days now, as somebody who likes to go to the game, or
Yeah.
that's
You
when I
can
used
give
to
us a
play.
bit of the old Miguel when you were a player and a bit of the
Yeah,
new
yeah, 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 for
Miguel now
sure.
that you're just a fan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So old Miguel was I'm a very superstitious person, and so one of the things that I did is I didn't change my gloves until I had a bad game. Some people could say you probably change them all the time, but no, I did it. That was actually, I had some good games, guys. Okay, relax. This 200 is not 200 goals conceded. Okay. So that was one of them. And my favorite thing that I did as a player is after my mom passed away, I would kiss the left post, and then I would raise my hand, kind of covering the whole goal, walk the goal until I got to the other post and kiss the other post. And then those 15 seconds, I would talk to my mom. I would just, I would leave, I would just say, Mom, I love you. This is for you. Take care of me. I miss you. Things like that. I would just have 15 seconds of conversation with my mom. And that was my favorite thing. That was my favorite thing to do as a player. And now as a spectator, when I get to go to the game, dude, there's no ritual. It's just go out there and enjoy. I do like to sit. I'm very grateful that when people see me say, "Hey, man, come to my suite or whatever," but I actually like to go watch the game. So I'll just go sit, on the higher deck or away from people because I want to watch the game. Like I want to watch a game, and also I have to talk about the game as well. And so I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the details and stuff like that. I want to enjoy the match. I want a good seat, right? Sometimes when you're like lower in the suites, it's more like people are like, "Hey, catching up," and blah blah blah, which is great. I love that, but I want to enjoy the game, and so like yesterday we went and we sat in the higher deck, and we had some great seats, and I was in the middle of the pitch, and so I could see the entire action, just kind of analyzing things, seeing the flow of the game, how good Freeman's movement was, his combination with Pasalic, right? What Muriel does for the team, and Angulo and Ojeda, the spaces he was picking up, and just a bunch of things, man. So I don't really have a ritual. I don't get to watch a lot of Orlando City games because when Orlando City is playing, I'm usually on the call. But anytime I get a chance to go to the game, man, it's awesome. And I took my daughter with me, and she was really into it this morning. She was talking about number 9 who scored a hat trick. She was talking about Muriel. She was talking about Daddy. What was his name? Luz. So she remembered. It was like Luis, hija. So she remembered. Yeah, it was good, man. It was a really good time.
I love that. I love that you still have that sort of passion just to like watch the game as well, even
Yeah,
though
dude.
because it's like work, right? Sometimes that
It is. It is work.
can subtract from that, but like even when you're not working, you still want to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, dude. And I don't know that I can watch soccer anymore without trying to analyze, right?
Hmm.
And it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'll be honest with you. I don't really watch soccer unless I know that I have to watch it because of work. I don't watch the Premier League. I don't watch La Liga. I don't watch any of that stuff. But I watch what I need to watch for work. But the other time, I like to, spend time with my family or golf. I got into golf recently, which is awesome. But yeah, dude, I couldn't be bothered to watch a game that I don't need to watch because of work. To be honest with you, I still love the game, but I coach it. I talk about it. So yeah, I'm not watching Tottenham versus Arsenal. I don't care. I don't even know who plays for them.
All right, a different question for you. What part of Orlando City do you enjoy the most? So this could be anything from like just game days or
Yeah,
to community, or it's like maybe one of the youth clubs
yeah.
I know that you run.
What part of Orlando City do I enjoy the most?
It could be
Let's see.
lots of parts, but
Yeah,
where
yeah,
do you
yeah.
connect with the club on a regular?
They definitely. I mean, obviously, when I was doing stuff with the foundation, I really enjoyed doing that. We had a free program for kids in neighborhood centers where I was a part of. I was kind of leading the logistics, and I would be out there coaching with the kids and just making connections with the local kids in the community. I love that part of it. Just some activations, whether it was with sponsors or whatever, it didn't matter. But just kind of spreading the word about Orlando City, spreading the word about healthy habits and staying active with kids, staying away from trouble. That always spoke to me because I benefited from the game from that standpoint, right? Like I know that I would probably be in a much different situation if it wasn't for the game. So I preach that to kids, right? And it's not you're not gonna go pro. I didn't even think I was gonna go pro. I never even wanted to go pro. It just happened. It just happened. But just being around the game and wanting to be the best that I could be, staying competitive, not 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 being okay with sucking at anything was a big driver for me. Even when it came to like doing fitness, like I didn't want to be the last one because I just didn't want to suck. And that's been kind of like my motto in life. I don't need to be the best. I just don't want to suck. And so the foundation was definitely something that I identified with, and yeah, that's it. Obviously, I have a very competitive spirit as well. So winning championships, winning things, being competitive, wanting to be an asset to my team was always something that drove me and I enjoyed.
Okay, this one I feel like you kind of answered the whole podcast, really, Miguel. But if you were to sum it up, what does Orlando City mean to you personally?
Wow,
It's a deep one, I know. It's
it is a
always
deep one. And listen, Orlando City means home. I think that's the easiest way that I can summarize it. I love living in Orlando. I met my wife here. My daughter was born here. Some of my best friends live here. The club that I love is here. I've grown with the club from all those stories that we shared playing at the Citrus Bowl, playing at House Park in Austin, Texas, to then playing at Camping World, to then inaugurating a brand new soccer specific stadium, to just seeing people come through Orlando City and improve their lives as well. Passengers in this ship come and go. And there's also people who have been there through it all. And for me, if I had to choose one word to describe Orlando City would be home.
I like that answer, Miguel. All right. So Orlando City's home. Give us a few of those favorite Orlando spots of yours? Like, is there a particular restaurant or a coffee shop or a park or maybe an old bar we used to go
And
drink at? I don't know. Like where can
yeah,
people find Miguel,
yeah.
on an average Tuesday,
Yeah, let
let's
me send
say.
some messages to see if anybody wants to endorse me right now for me to say their spot. No, dude, honestly, great food.
Mhm.
For Spanish food, I go to this Colombian place called OK Bueno, which is in Cimarron on 436, close to
Yeah.
408. For great Tex-Mex, and people are gonna hate on this because not everything is great there, but I love some of their plates. It's Chewy's
Hey man,
because Chewy's comes
Austin
from Austin,
chain. How do
Texas,
you
as
not
well.
like it?
Dude, I went to Austin and I literally went to the mothership of this franchises. I went to the main and first one, which is right by there by
Mhm.
Zilker Park. You know that well.
I remember it.
Chewy's is great. And for Italian, I love Armando's. Any of them, love them. I love them. Good food, good pizza, good pasta, good wine. And I think that's it, dude. I don't really have a ton of, like spots that I go to all the time. And for some people that don't know, I am a theme park junkie. I love going to the theme parks
So
more
tell me,
than
all
my
right, which
kids,
theme park then? That's
more than my own kids, dude.
which one is where are you like
Universal
going?
Studios,
Yeah.
Universal Studios,
Is it
Islands
the
of
Harry
Adventure,
Potter stuff? Is that
Harry
your
Potter, Velocicoaster,
I
Rip
love
Ride
that.
Rocket, who is about to go down.
Yeah.
They're gonna change it for Fast and Furious, that I think is a great idea because the one that they have now, I think, is just a wasted opportunity. But I'm glad that they're seeing that. I've been to the new Epic one, which is amazing.
So
SeaWorld, love
cool.
SeaWorld for all those. Is it Blackfish? Is that the documentary?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I enjoy the rides. Okay, I enjoy the rides. Just to clarify, but listen, Orlando is awesome, dude. Orlando is awesome. I think it's one of the best places to live. Yes, the heat sucks during the summer, but I rather take heat and then just incredible weather during the months of October, November, December, January, February, March, and then where everybody else is like, they can't get out of their house because it's freezing. So great people, great food, great culture, a lot of things to do, great place to raise children, and a great place to have a soccer team.
Yeah. I mean, it's got everything here, right? And,
That's it, dude.
and then they added Epic Universe, and now we've even got,
Amazing,
Donkey Kong Land and
dude.
whatever
Amazing,
else. You name
amazing,
it.
dude. I'm
You can
telling you,
see
like
it
I
all.
have a hard time convincing my daughter to go because I want to go.
Well, that park is
I want.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
really
it's sick.
amazing.
It's
So if
sick.
you've not had a chance, anybody to go, when you will go see Epic Universe. Alrighty, well that's everything we got time for, Miguel. Do you have anything you want to say to the people, or just any
Dude,
questions for me before we go?
no, man, I really enjoy what you're doing. Really love the fact that you're so invested, and we need people like that. Listen, when I do my homework, when I have to talk about Portland Timbers, I go look at their local people podcast because they are the real heartbeat of the teams, right? So if I were a pundit that needed to do some research on Orlando City, I will go to podcasts like yours because you know what's going on. You have great opinions, you have great insights, you know the history of the game. So in a game that's still growing in the USA, we need people like you, not just that know the game, that see the game well, but also love the game and love the team, and are also critical when you have to be critical. So congrats to you for what you're doing and trying to bring some history back to the new fans of Orlando City. And yeah, man, I really enjoyed you having me, and I'm around the corner. So anytime.
Thank you, man. It's I appreciate that a lot, and like I said, we really enjoyed seeing you out there representing Orlando City on Apple TV
Yes,
and
sir.
everything you do. So I'm sure you're a very busy man with Leagues Cup and everything that's going on. So we'll see lots of Miguel. If you enjoyed what you hear today, please go ahead and follow and like. If you're listening on like Apple or on Spotify, go ahead and give us a rating, preferably 5 stars. That way, more people will find us. You can subscribe on YouTube. Just search Forever a Lion, drop a like on the video, comment for everybody. I would love to hear your opinions, and let Miguel know how much you still appreciate him and how much you love him, because like I said, buddy, you're on my Legends board. So
Thanks,
thank
brother.
you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody who listens, and see you all next time.